Let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Aaron Flemming, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob is not here on Thursdays. Although Rob was going to be in here today, but last second he had to back out at the last second, so he apologized."
He's a very busy man.
I live in Santa Monica and have several members of my family who work in the entertainment industry. So obviously, it has been a pretty hard time for our family. Just saw that the governor is saying that shooting for the entertainment industry in California could start up again as early as next week. I'm both excited and nervous about it. We need to get the industry back up and running, but is it also too soon? And will it be safe? Thanks, guys. All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Aaron. And yes, as a matter of fact, I saw this headline yesterday, and I was like, wait, is that true? And yeah, the headlines, now this is, of course, is on Deadline, but the governor's saying that production could start not necessarily statewide, but in certain counties that are meeting certain milestones. Production could start as early as next week. It could start as early as next week. Now, this is what it said in the Variety article. Governor Gavin Newsom brought his economic recovery and reinvention listening tour to Hollywood on Wednesday. He hosted a virtual roundtable with Californians who work in the film and television industry. It started late, but once it got going, streamed live on the governor's YouTube page. We're in real time drafting guidelines for specific sectors, including the entertainment industry, said the governor. Those guidelines will be released on Monday and will allow some counties to move deeper into the governor's four-phase plan. Newsom made it clear that this includes the entertainment industry as well. So, listen, I got two minds when it comes to this. On the one hand, yay, anything that kind of signals a somewhat return to normalcy, I get excited right now, for sure. Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, great. On the one hand, because I know, like, we see the numbers. The numbers are still serious, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody else brought up to me a while ago, and I said it myself. I parroted them and said it on my show myself. But is that at some point, it's not about, some of these decisions are being made not about whether or not COVID-19 has disappeared, but whether or not we have learned how to function with it there. You know, it's not like there's, not water in the backyard. You put on swim shorts and you go in the back. It's not that the situation has changed. It's that you've learned how to function differently in the situation. Have we gotten to that point yet? I honestly don't know. I do know the California governor has been one of the more cautious out of the governors and stuff like that. But if they seem to think, because I look at something like UFC, right? UFC has been able to relaunch their business. Now, they've not gotten rid of the pandemic, but what they have done is learned how to function and operate within it. So they have no crowds at the events. They sequester everybody away in hotels. They give everybody multiple tests. And then at the day, they do the event in a very isolated way and broadcast it to the world. Blah, blah, blah. They've just found a way to continue to operate within the circumstance. So it sounds to me like that's the approach they're taking, that, listen, we acknowledge the problem isn't gone yet, but we think we have come up with ways to do it relatively safely. I still don't know that I'm 100% on board with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a little bit nerve-wracking to me. But if they feel they have a plan to move forward, I got to admit it does excite me a bit. Aaron, as somebody who works in the entertainment industry, you and I talked about this on the phone a little bit yesterday, but what are your thoughts on this?
Well, as I said yesterday, it means that I need to immediately stop my daily diet of pizza and beer, clearly, because I thought I had a lot more time to get ready for camera. But in all seriousness, I can see areas like Santa Clarita, for example, which is where we shot NCIS, and there's a lot of other productions that have shot up there. It's a little bit more secluded, but the issue is not necessarily the areas where COVID numbers are down, or that there's better capabilities for testing, because it's not like it's not like if you're shooting in Santa Clarita, they only hire people who live in Santa Clarita. No, you drive up to Santa Clarita. So if I'm down here in Los Angeles and I get cast in something, well, then that means that I'm going to go to that area and potentially bring anything to that area. So I don't really. I tried to watch the video. I couldn't find it because I didn't see it live, and I went to Governor Newsom's YouTube page. I couldn't find it. I saw Ava DuVernay was part of it. She's a very smart woman, and she really cares about her crew and her cast. So no doubt she probably had a lot of opinions to share about that. Given the way that productions are so close together, and it's almost, I just don't understand how it's going to be possible. Certainly not this early. And also next week, like what could possibly be ready for next week? I can understand them saying we're going to go into pre-production next week, but until they have very specific guidelines of, okay, here's how we're going to work with craft services, for example, with props, with people moving one thing to another, with the sound department being within 6 inches to be able to mic the actors. The camera department, they're all sitting on the same camera. There's like 3 or 4 people within 1 foot of each other.
As an actor,
yeah.
If they were to say to you, okay, here's our protocol. I'm making this up. This is theoretical. This is our protocol. We have something we want you to shoot with us for a week, whatever. But here's our protocol. You have to travel to San Jose. Let's make up a place. San Jose. You got to travel to San Jose 3 days before we start. You have to enter this hotel. You have to get tested in this hotel. You cannot leave the hotel. And then once we get the test results back on we're going to have 90 people on set working on this thing. It's going to be a sealed set, and it's going to be that way for a week. And once the 2 or 3 days in hotels, and we've tested everybody twice, and everything comes back negative, we remove anybody who tested positive, then we're going to move on to set for a week. You can't go home during that week, whatever, blah, blah, and then we'll wrap. Is that something for you as an actress that you would go, okay, I feel relatively safe going into that environment and doing it there? I mean, obviously it causes a lot of complications, but I mean, would that be enough for like you as an actor to go into a situation like that, or do you still think that's a little bit iffy?
I mean, if they would be willing to do all of that, and that is a huge financial and logistical nightmare for any production, them being willing to jump through those hoops and make do double testing, basically quarantine everyone together. I mean, we kind of did that with Bitch Slap. We all stayed in the same motel. The cast and crew stayed in the same motel Monday through Friday, and then we went home on the weekends. So I've actually lived that kind of experience in a way before, but it would have to be to that level. And I think that different people have different sensitivities to it. Like I know some people. For me, my friend Nick Cordero yesterday took a really downturn in the hospital, and he's been in ICU for 2 months. So for me, it hits me on a different level. Some people who haven't been as personally affected by this disease, they might feel a lot more comfortable. But I'm going to have to hear a lot more details about the specifics before I would be willing to believe that things will jump back that quickly.
And I think that sounds reasonable. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think something like this marks the return of stuff? Maybe it's a little bit too early. How do you feel about it? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right.